Hello everyone. This is the CircuitPython weekly meeting for June 29th, 2026. This is a time of the week where we get together to talk about all things CircuitPython. My name is Tim. I am sponsored by Adafruit to work on CircuitPython. CircuitPython is a version of Python that is designed to run on tiny computers called microcontrollers. The development for CircuitPython is primarily sponsored by Adafruit, so if you'd like to help support Adafruit and CircuitPython, consider purchasing hardware from them at adafruit.com. The meeting, this meeting, I should say, gets hosted on the Adafruit Discord server. You can join that at any time by going to adafru.it. We hold the meeting adafru.it/discord. /discord there is important. We hold the meeting in the CircuitPython dev text channel as well as CircuitPython voice channel here on Discord. The meeting typically happens Mondays at 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time or 11 a.m. U.S. Pacific Time, except when that coincides with the U.S. holiday. I should say there's a calendar link in the notes document at the top that you can use to view the calendar of upcoming meetings. It will include any time that the meeting does get bumped to a Tuesday, or occasionally we skip them as well. If you would like to get notifications about any changes to the day or time, you can ask to be added to the CircuitPythonistas role on Discord, which is conveniently also the same role you need in order to speak in the meeting if you'd like to participate in that way. Let's see, shared notes doc is here. I have lost my space. There we are. Okay, yes. The shared notes doc accompanies the meeting and recording. You can contribute to that doc ahead of time. The final notes document will include timestamps to go along with the video, so you can use it to skip around and view the parts of the video that interest you most. The meeting tends to run 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how many people we have for the round-robin sections and just what's going on in the development that week. After each meeting, we will post a link to the new document for next week's meeting, so you can always check out the pinned messages here on Discord throughout the week to find the notes doc for the upcoming meeting. You can use that doc, I should say. You can put in there hug reports and status updates throughout the week. So again, in Discord, just hit the pinned messages and you can find that. Meeting structure will be held in 5 parts. We will first look at community news, take a look at the newsletter, all things CircuitPython on Python on hardware in the community. We'll take a look at a couple items that came out of the newsletter. Then we will look at the state of CircuitPython, the libraries in Blinka, a quantitative overview of the entire project, a chance to look at the project by the numbers, separate from our status updates. Then we will get into hug reports. That is our first round robin section. That one is an opportunity to highlight good things that folks are doing in the community and beyond. We can take a moment to recognize awesome folks, awesome stuff that folks have done. The fourth part and our other round robin is status updates. That one is an opportunity to check in on what we've been working on. You can take a couple minutes to talk about what you've been doing since the last meeting and what you'll be up to over the next week until the next meeting. And then finally, we'll round it out with in the weeds section, where we have an opportunity for some more long-form discussion. If we have topics that either grow out of status updates and maybe become too long or have more of a back and forth, we can move those to in the weeds. Also, folks are encouraged to put in the weeds topics there in the notes doc ahead of time as well. So you can list out a topic if you think of something throughout the week, or even on Monday, you can list it there, and when the time comes in the meeting, we will discuss it. So let us get started with community news first. Let me take the first timestamp here. And all these items came from, all of these upcoming items, I should say, come from the newsletter this week. So first up, we have CircuitPython 10.3.0 alpha.3 was released. CircuitPython 10.3.0-alpha 3 is an alpha release for 10.3.0, is now available. Further features, changes, and bug fixes will be added before the final release of 10.3.0. There are links here to the Adafruit blog as well as GitHub, and the highlights of this release are listed as well. I will read you those. We have USB audio microphone and USB speaker classes are now included. The audio speed resampler module now exists for changing different sample rates. The audio I2SN module has been implemented. That's now available on Espressif and RP2 devices. So I2SN microphones now work in CircuitPython. The Espressif has had a couple of fixes. Espressif camera support is fixed. Several fixes for Bluetooth stuff, as well as other bug fixes in this release. So check that out again using the release page, and should be listed now as the latest release on CircuitPython.org as well, downloads pages. Next up, we have ChatGPT wants to make open source projects more secure. OpenAI has launched a project called Patch the Planet, a new initiative aimed at fixing one of the internet's quietest problems, the chronically underfunded security of open source software. Patch the Planet pairs OpenAI's most security-capable AI models with Trail of Bits, a security firm that has committed its entire research organization to the effort. There's a link here to Digital Trends. It is good to see some of the vast amount of resources that these companies have go into open source projects that underpin large parts of the internet. I'm happy to see that. So good on ChatGPT, and OpenAI credit where it is due. Next up, we have Product of the Week, Coleco Vision Cartridge Reader Shield. Dan Cogliano's work in progress on a Coleco Vision Cartridge Reader shield for the Adafruit Fruit Jam. So this is a cool project. You can check this one out. The initial cartridge reading via CircuitPython scripts work. Next up is enhancing the code to write the cartridge data to an SD card. It may be the first shield made for the Fruit Jam, which I would agree with as well. I don't know of any others, so I think that is true. So very cool project to Dan. This is a link to Blue Sky if you want to check that one out as well. Next up, and rounding out the newsletter items this week, we have a thermal camera with the Pymeroni Tufty 2350 and a MLX 90640. Les Pounder's new tutorial is a thermal camera with a Pymeroni Tufty 2350 and the MLX 90640 thermal camera breakout. It is programmed in MicroPython. One's conference badge can do more than tell everyone your name. So this is a very cool project. There are links to Pymeroni and LinkedIn, and I believe these badges just hit the store in the last couple of weeks as well. So if you'd like to get yourself the hardware, I think there are some of these or similar types of devices over on Adafruit.com. So I will tell you now about the newsletter. The Python and Microcontrollers weekly newsletter is a CircuitPython community-run newsletter that's emailed every Monday. That is where all of the previous items came from. The complete archives are available at adafruitdaily.com. This newsletter highlights the latest in Python on hardware-related news from around the web, including CircuitPython, Python, and MicroPython developments. If you'd like to contribute your own news or projects, you can email cpnews@adafruit.com. We always do appreciate contributions. And with that, we will get into the state of CircuitPython, the libraries in Blinka. We'll take the timestamp here. We'll look at the state of CircuitPython, the libraries in Blinka. This one, as a reminder, is a quantitative overview of the entire project. We'll take a look at some numbers. First, overall, and then look at the core, the libraries, and Blinka separately. So first up, numbers for overall this week. Let me timestamp here. We had 17 pull requests merged across all of CircuitPython repos with 9 different authors, so very cool to see. A couple of names here that stuck out to me as newer or less frequent contributors, or just less familiar to my eye, perhaps, if these folks have been around more. Those names for me were G.R. Grant and Paula Scharf this week, so thanks to them, as well as our other contributors whose names I see pop up on these lists more frequently. We had 5 reviewers, so thanks to Dan, Scott, Liz, Maker, Melissa, and myself. We had issues-wise, 11 issues closed by 4 people, 4 new issues opened up by 3 people, leaving us net even. Or no, closed, excuse me, leaving us net down, right, 11. And so with that, I will pass it over to Scott, if you are available to tell us about this core.
Totally, thanks, Tim. So numbers for the core, we had 11 pull requests merged from 5 different authors. Paula Scharf, Bablock B are infrequent contributors, so thanks to them. 2 reviewers, Dan and myself, and we have 15 open pull requests, which is comfortably under our goal of being on a single page of 25. We have 7 closed issues by 2 people and 3 open by 2 people, so we're net down by 4. For a total of 777 open issues. We track these issues using the milestone system. This is in particular the prioritization for us Adafruit funded folks. That is to say, we kind of put things we're not going to work on anytime soon in the long-term bucket. But if folks not paid by Adafruit want to pick those up, you're more than welcome. We're still happy to do the review and get it merged in when we're happy with it. In terms of Adafruit funded priorities, we have no open issues for 10.2x, which is our current stable, and we also have 42 open issues for 10.3. So that's kind of things that are on our radar to do now in order to get 10.3 out the door. And I'm sure Dan will give us more of an update on that stuff. We don't have any issues that aren't assigned a milestone, so we are keeping up with triaging everything. So that's where we're at for the core.
All right, thank you, Scott. Next up, I will tell you about the CircuitPython libraries. We have all these libraries hosted on GitHub under 2 different library bundles. The Adafruit library bundle currently has 394 libraries in it, and the community library bundle has 177. For a total right now of 571 libraries that support various devices and other things on CircuitPython. Over the past week in the Adafruit bundle, we had 3 pull requests merged by 2 authors, thanks to GR Grant and Mikey Sklar. We had 2 reviewers, thanks to Liz and myself. Of the pull requests that did get merged this week, they were basically all on the newer side of things. 2 days for the newest ones, 4 days for the oldest ones, which leaves us with 42 pull requests open. The oldest one is a draft that is still hanging on at 1,411 days. I do need to keep meaning to check in on that one, but I have failed to do so thus far. The newest one, like usual, is down to 1 day. Issues-wise, we had 2 issues closed by 1 person, 1 new issue opened up by 1 person, leaving us with 782 open issues across the libraries, the Adafruit bundle libraries, I should say, and there are 2 of those currently that are labeled good first issues. You can find those 2 as well as the rest over at circuitpython.org/contributing, which is the website where you should go if you're interested in getting involved in CircuitPython, contributing on the Python side of stuff. When you first load that page, you're going to find a list of open pull requests. These link over to GitHub. They're waiting for a person to come by and review the work there. So you can click through to GitHub, you can look over the code for spelling, syntax, functionality, all of that sort of stuff. If you have the hardware, you can test it out. You can leave a comment there on GitHub. That's essentially what the review process is, just looking over the code, leaving a comment on GitHub. Let us know what you found when you looked over the code. If you did have the hardware, let us know how it went when you tested it out. And then if you get comfortable with that process, if you work through a couple and you would like to join our review team so that you can get notifications and other sort of helpful features on GitHub, then we can work with you to add you to that. If you'd like to start submitting some of your own changes as well, you can do that from the same page. Again, circuitpython.org/contributing. Along the top, there is some navigation. If you click over to the issues link, you will see a similar looking page with links over to GitHub, but these ones represent issues. They don't have a proposed change yet. So you could work on the proposed change and you could submit a PR to resolve that issue. It might be fixing a bug, it might be adding a new feature or a new example or some other improvement. So if that sounds like something you are interested in, head over to the website, get involved. We do have learn guides for contributing using Git and GitHub. So if you're having trouble with any part of the process, we can point you to a learn guide. We also have folks who are around throughout the week here on Discord who are happy to help get you spun up. So if you are having trouble with version control or actions or anything else, come say hi on Discord. Let us know what's up. We would be happy to help you out. We want everyone to be able to contribute in a way that works best for them. Updated libraries this week, STCC4 was updated, and I believe we have a couple others coming up with some fixes that were submitted as well that are in my review queue, so we'll have some more to look forward to next week also. That is it for libraries. Next up, I will tell you about Blinka. So Blinka is our compatibility layer. This allows CircuitPython code to be run on single board computers like the Raspberry Pi and similar devices, as well as on MicroPython hardware. In Blinka repositories this week, we had 3 pull requests merged, 2 authors, although it's Maker Melissa and Maker Melissa Pi Claw, so we have sort of two in one there. And 1 reviewer, Maker Melissa, and pull requests. There are 14 pull requests open. I think a lot of these are the GitHub version bot. So some of these we could go through and get pretty quick probably. But those are the 14 we have remaining. Issues-wise, we had 2 issues closed by one person, no new issues opened up. And there are currently 84 open issues across the Blinka related libraries. And Blinka right now is supporting 174 different hardware devices as that compatibility layer. All right. Next up, we will get into Hug Reports. I'll take the timestamp. So Hug Reports is a chance to highlight folks in the CircuitPython community and beyond for doing awesome things. I'll start, then we'll go down the list of folks as they appear in the notes doc. If you don't wish to speak or you can't attend, then you can just leave a note with your name that says you are notes only, and if you do that, then the host will read your notes for you. Otherwise, I'll call on you as we go down the list here. So like I said, I'll get us started. Hug Reports from me thanks to Smitka on Discord, who released this Pico game module recently, as well as published a bunch of example code and tutorials and stuff for this. So very cool project. I will talk about this a little bit more in my status update, but very cool stuff. Thanks to them. Thanks also to Bob G for driver improvements in CircuitPython libraries. They've been going through submitting a bunch of fixes and improvements to lots of different breakout libraries. Really appreciate that. And then lastly for me, thanks to Relic IC for review on the streaming protocol for I2SN. Definitely really appreciate having folks who are more in tune with the audio world looking over my work there. So thanks for that. And with that, I will pass it over to Dan next for Hug Reports.
Okay, so thanks to you and Scott for PR reviews in the past week. And thanks to Mikey Sklar, GR Grant, and John Nelson, who've been doing a lot of testing about Wi-Fi performance and throughput on various Espressif boards versus setting the transmit power, because there are maybe some issues about the antenna being overloaded or not. So there's a lot of information in the issue there, and I'm not really sure what conclusions we're going to reach, but it's very, very interesting. And that's it.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Next up is Scott.
Thanks, Tim, and a hug to you for, I was on vacation and I came back to you having added USB audio support. So being able to act as a speaker or act as a microphone over USB is super cool. So thanks for adding that.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. Yep. And that is it for Hug Reports this week. Next up is Status Updates. So I will tell you about that. Status Updates is our time to tell folks what we're up to individually. Again, I'll start, then we'll go through the list of names as they appear in the notes doc. When I call on you, take a couple minutes to tell us what you've been up to and what you'll be doing over the next week. And like I mentioned at the top, if a discussion becomes too long, we can always move that down to In the Weeds to have a larger discussion or more back and forth as needed. I will get us kicked off here. Last week, I wrapped up a guide for a USB Morse code key. So this was like a demonstration of the USB audio that I was working on that was mentioned. This is sort of the most basic thing you can make. Just use a USB Morse code key. It typically these come with 3.5 millimeter jack. So the guide has you plug that into a Circuit Playground Bluefruit and then lets you either live code in Morse code or pre-program automatic words to get sent to the computer. And then, of course, because it's USB, you can hook that up to whatever app your computer has running. You can record it, or you can send it into a meeting or out through a radio or whatever you need. Last week, I also worked on the streaming protocol for I2SN. This is still in the audio world, but this is for I2SN microphones, not USB. And I did a round of changes based on some feedback in the review for that. This morning, I was testing out the Blinka PR for changing the installation over to pyproject.toml. So I think there is new commits there, so I'll do another round of testing on that this afternoon. I started looking into this Pico game module, which I mentioned a little bit before. This is very cool. This is like a game framework, so folks might be familiar with Pygame or Phaser or some other frameworks in other languages. So Pygame is for Python and Phaser is a JavaScript one, but this is like a game framework that makes it easy for you to build common types of video games, so platformers, top-down tile map games, sort of racing games. There's a few main genres that this framework makes it easy to write, and especially helpful and very cool in the CircuitPython land is it greatly improves the performance for this. I haven't dug super deep into the core module just yet to figure out exactly what's going on in there. But what I can say is the rendering is much better than we can get with Display. So this is very cool. It unlocks some new genres of games that are not very feasible today. So I'm excited about this, and I'm looking forward to finishing out the tutorials and helping Smitka as much as I can try to get this in shape to get added to CircuitPython. And then the other thing I did work on last week in the audio world was enabling the audio effects modules in the Raspberry Pi port. These were already pre-existing modules that just manipulate audio in various ways. They were just not enabled in Raspberry Pi yet, but they do work, and this is nice because I have a MacroPad example project that I was making while I was working on USB audio stuff that lets you sort of input audio and apply up to 4 different effects and then output it back to the computer. So I will make a playground page documenting that project, and it's good that it is merged in now so I can point to actually an official build. So that is what I've been up to. Next, I will pass it over to Dan.
Okay, so I released CircuitPython 10.3.0 Alpha 3 last week. That includes Tim's I2S in and USB microphone, USB speaker, what we were talking about, and also Relic SE's resampler code. And then also at the last minute, I got a fix for the Memento camera was not working in 10.3, and that's working now. Then since then, I did fix some internal compile issues in CircuitPython, and then also added 2 flags to settings.toml. One lets you set the Wi-Fi host name before it comes up, so that if you're doing like auto connect, it'll come up with the correct host name immediately. And then also I changed it so I added something called safe mode, CircuitPy safe mode delay, so that you could set that to 0, so that you no longer have to wait the 1 second for the safe mode delay option. It makes it hard to get into safe mode, but it comes up faster. Or you could make the safe mode longer if you're having trouble getting into safe mode and you want to get into safe mode frequently, like you're debugging something, say. And maybe there are some other options to do for settings.toml in the future. Then I also fixed ESP Now support, which was broken in 2 different ways. And then I fixed a BLE crash in airlift support. So that's like the, say, on PyPortal or something, or other boards that have BLE. Usually they're not used for BLE, but they might be. Those are boards with coprocessors, not espressive boards. This is when there's a coprocessor on usually a SAMD51 board. And then just this morning, I fixed an issue with the USB host, external USB host MAX3421E chip on ESP32. And this has to do with an issue that the SPI clock rate was too high, because the clock rate granularity is very coarse at high clock rates, and it was too high. And this brought up the issue that we actually only give you an approximate clock rate. It might be too high, it might be higher than what you asked for, maybe lower. And we decided, of course, it should always be lower, because too high could be bad. It means that something might not work. And here's an example of that. So there'll be another PR to fix that soon. So I'm just continuing a lot of issues for the 10.3.0 release. There are still around 44 or 45 issues. Actually, I fixed a lot of things since last week, but there were some new issues that got fixed that came up, so I had to fix those too. But I'm still trying to make progress on the release, and I'm actually getting somewhere. And that's it for me.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Very cool stuff in the settings.toml, especially on my part. So thanks for all of that stuff. Next up, we will hear from Scott.
Thank you. So this is a short week. I'm out Thursday and Friday for a long 4th of July weekend. Next week is a full week. Thank you, Tim, for deep diving on Friday for me. So last week was a short week too, because I got back from vacation on Wednesday, so I only had 2 days. But I got my JLC PCB order. So the P4 hardware in the loop board, I just tested that it loaded code. I suspect that it works okay, but I'm going to be going to the makerspace tomorrow to solder some headers onto it to put the boards that I actually want to test on it. I have more cables and an IKEA shelf insert ordered to really actually set it up to use it long term. And I'm going to target all ESP chips to start, although now that I think about it, I may do the 2 Picos as well. I got my Game Boy cart back. It fits in a Game Boy. I needed to knock a resistor off in order to actually have the code load. I got the boot button circuit was slightly wrong, so I've got to do a hardware revision on that. And then this week I'm going to work on testing it more fully. So I have my clanker. My clanker is currently trying to update my GBIO code from 2008, not 2008, 2018, I think, when I was doing the cart before. So I'm porting the same API, but to more modern CircuitPython. And so I'll be testing with that hopefully after lunch here. And then I also ordered a trackball. I confirmed that it runs on Loads code, but I don't actually have the 3D printed case to go with it. So I gave in after looking at how long it would take to print. I actually just decided to order the Bamboo A1 MIDI, which is very inexpensive, so I can print them here in my office. And that comes on Wednesday, so I'll be doing that kind of as I go. I also got the S31 dev board. This is an ESP32. Looks like a successor to the S3. Looks really awesome. It's got Bluetooth Classic as well as high-speed USB, kind of on top of the things that we have in a normal S3. So it looks really, really promising. It's kind of, I think of it as a mashup between the P4 and the S3. So it's pretty cool. Maybe the ESP32 as well. So this week is the Game Boy cart, and next week I'm going to go really get back into the hardware in the loop stuff, because I want to, it should be, the hardware in the loop boards should be to the point where I can actually start using it on a regular basis. So that will be my goal for next week.
Nice. Very cool. Thank you, Scott. And that is it for status updates this week. Next up would be In the Weeds. As a reminder, this would be an opportunity for some more long-form discussions. Could be something that came out status updates or identified ahead of time, but we have no topics today, so we will scoot right on past it to the wrap-up, where I will quickly scroll and check the calendar. I think we are at the usual time next week, but I actually forgot to check earlier, so I will stall for just a moment longer while it loads, or I will go back to here and start reading the wrap-up while it loads, maybe. Scroll too far. Here we go. Sorry about that. Okay, yes. This has been CircuitPython Weekly Meeting for June 29th, 2026. Thank you, everyone who participated. If you would like to support Adafruit and CircuitPython, and those of us that work on CircuitPython, consider purchasing hardware from the shop at adafruit.com. The video will get released on YouTube at youtube.com/Adafruit. The podcast will be made available on major podcast services. It will also get featured in the Python on Microcontrollers newsletter. You can visit adafruitdaily.com to subscribe to that. Let's see the next meeting. It did finally load for me here, although it's currently on this month. There we go. Yeah, we are the usual day and time next week. So that is Saturday the 6th, or excuse me, Saturday the 6th, Monday. Obviously, Monday is our usual day, Monday the 6th of July, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. U.S. Pacific. The meeting, as always, gets held here on Discord. You can join us anytime by going to adafru.it/Discord. If you'd like to get notified about any changes to the upcoming meetings, you can ask to be added to the CircuitPythonistas role on Discord. Thanks, everyone, and we hope to see you all next week.